Hey, it's Scott from Family Wheels with another car review for your growing family. Oh, and look at this. It's a 2019 Mazda 3. Now, you may know that last week we also tested a 2019 Mazda 3. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what's the deal with the back-to-back Mazda 3s? Well, last week, the vehicle that we had was the all-new for 2019 Mazda 3 Sport all-wheel drive, and I talked a lot about how the all-wheel drive was a bit of a game changer in this compact hatchback sort of segment. It's really a big fan of it. A lot of people were really anticipating it and looking for it in a car like this. Kind of was singing its praises, I guess you could say. Did get some response from viewers saying, what's the big deal with the all-wheel drive? Do you really need it? Does it make that big of a difference? So, Mazda gave me the opportunity to test out another 3, but this one is just a straight up front wheel drive. So big difference there. There's a couple other little differences. This is also a stick shift car. It's got a 6-speed manual, but I thought that what I could do is put the two cars kind of head to head and sort of drive this one and compare it to how that all-wheel drive performed and see, does it really actually make that big of a difference, or can you save yourself the money up front and save yourself the money at the pump and in maintenance and just stick with the good old front wheel drive Mazda 3. So we'll put it through its paces, do some of the regular testing, and then also really just talk about how it feels and how it drives and how it compares to that previous all-wheel drive version. So it's the 2019 Mazda 3 front wheel drive this week on Family Wheels. So this car that we're in this week, the 2019 Mazda 3 Sport GT, is in so many ways the exact same car that we drove last week, except for two big things. That was the all-wheel drive version that we had last week, and this one is front-wheel drive. Also, the model that we had last week, automatic transmission, and this guy has a stick shift. So I'm gonna kind of focus on those things because I think that those are big difference makers for a person when you're buying a car. At least they would be for me specifically. But if you're also interested in things like, you know, the fit and finish of the car, standardized testing, that sort of stuff, we'll blaze through that in this video. And if you're interested in a more in-depth look at some of that stuff, check out last week's vid because, like I said, a lot of that is going to be virtually the same. We'll cruise over it really quickly here, just in case you're not interested in the all-wheel drive at all. I can kind of paraphrase it in here, but we're going to talk about drivetrain stuff, but we'll get that other stuff out of the way. Okay, perfect. So first off, Mazda definitely have the best interiors in this price range. Fit and finish is excellent. The GT is the top of the line one, so everything that you're going to see in here is the best that you can get in a Mazda 3 Sport. But, you know, like no hard plastics except for a little bit around the dash here, but that's not the end of the world to me. It's all, like, the fit and finish is all just so precise. It's all very clean and just like almost calming, like soothing to be in. The layout of everything, it's all just excellent for the price range. And the way that I was framing it in the last video, you just feel like you're in a more expensive car than you are. So interior, being in the car, great. The cockpit is fantastic. Everything is well within reach. The seats are super comfortable. Options wise, basically almost everything you want. I kind of wish there was vented seats as well as heated seats, but that's not a huge issue. Basically everything in here is just fantastic. Let's leave it at that. The infotainment system is one thing that I don't really love about the way that Mazda are going. They've moved to this human-machine interface thing, which is essentially this click wheel here. They say that it has like essentially 5 buttons for your 5 fingers, which is a nice idea. I don't know that I actually would like use all 5 fingers when doing it. The screen is set back in the dash a little bit, and you control everything just from your right hand, right where it rests here. And there's a big click wheel and these buttons that sort of get you to where you need to go. But my main complaint is that to do what you want to do, I feel like it takes just a little bit longer than a traditional system would, whether it's extra clicks or scrolling to find, the menu that you want. It just feels a little bit delayed to me. But the idea that it kind of keeps your eyes on the road and keeps you focused while driving, I do agree with that. And I will say that the last three from last week and this one, compared to other Mazda products that I've driven, the infotainment systems in these ones are definitely a step above. They're just cleaner, not lots of colors, not distracting, just it's kind of minimalist, I guess, which I like. Standardized testing, well, first thing, the car is definitely small. It's a compact car. One of the critiques that I got from the last video, somebody mentioned, how is this a great family car when it's so small? And I said, well, it's good if you have a small family. Maybe you have one child or, a small dog, that type of thing. I think for somebody like that, this car is a great size. The back seat, yeah, it's a bit cramped. You wouldn't want to put teenagers or big kids or other adults back there for a long time. But beyond that, there's lots of room in the trunk. The standardized trunk test passed with flying colors. That's stroller, diaper bag, camera bag, 2 bags of groceries and a soccer ball. Could still do all of that with the privacy cover in place. And of course, if you need more space, the rear seats do fold actually flat with no hump there. So there's not lots of options and space there for that as well. Now, rear-facing car seat test, we scored 25 inches from the rear of the front passenger seat to the glove box, which is not huge, but again, it's a compact car. Putting that rear-facing car seat in, though, is super easy because Mazda is using that latch cover system. So you just pop the latches off, they're right there. You don't need to fish around in the seat crevice at all. You just click the latches in. I just store the covers in the side pocket on the door. Super easy and convenient. Love that. Decibel test, the car's really quiet. Mazda have really worked to increase the soundproofing in the glass, and it's noticeable. The car came in around 58 decibels at 100 kilometers an hour on dry roads, which is good. It feels very quiet in here. Look back test, yeah, I was just with some people tonight and they were commenting on how good this car actually looks. I think Mazda have done a bang up job with the 2019 redesign. The car just has great lines all around it. It's very clean. They're really just sticking with this whole sort of clean and almost minimalist aesthetic. And I think it looks great, and when it's clean, the color is awesome. I love the color of the rims. The GT comes with 18-inch rims. They look great. So yeah, definitely passes the look back test. Okay, so let's talk about how this thing drives. So the big takeaway here, of course, is that this car is front-wheel drive, and last week's was all-wheel drive. So I said in last week's video that all-wheel drive was almost a must for me. So we shoot in Vancouver, Canada, and we get a lot of rain, a lot of in the wintertime, slushy, sleety type snow. And then of course we do get snow, especially the last couple of years. And my family are sort of mountain people. We ski and snowboard, and we vacation up to Whistler, which is not far from here. And we drive in the snow a lot. So having all-wheel drive is a really important thing to me. When it comes to safety of the cargo, my daughter in the back and my wife and oftentimes our dog, just knowing that we have all-wheel drive, I just have this confidence that, we can head up to the mountain and are very likely going to be just fine. Increased traction, not going to get stuck, the roads are maintained, but just knowing that, the car has all 4 wheels turning underneath you is a confidence inspiring thing. So that alone, our lifestyle, sort of mountain people, would lead me towards all-wheel drive. Now, some of the takeaways from all-wheel drive: it's a bit more expensive off the top, and it's a bit more expensive at the pump. Now, for me, you're getting an inexpensive car comparatively into what else is out on the market. So I don't think that's a huge deal. I think it's worth it, I think, to pay that extra little bit, because if you ever get stuck, if your front wheel drive car gets stuck, you're gonna think to myself, shoot, I should have gotten the all-wheel drive. So for me, yeah, all-wheel drive, I would take that car. There's also this thing about all-wheel drive that it seems funner to sort of rip around in. Now, this is not like a sport hatchback. This isn't a Mazda Speed 3. You may remember Mazda had that car. It was their hot hatch back when. This is 186 horsepower. It's nothing crazy. If it was 286 horsepower, I think I would certainly want it to have all-wheel drive without question. It would pick up off the line way quicker. You would just have way more traction and you would feel more controlled in the twisties. Now, I'm not a professional driver. I'm not like throwing cars, you know, around a track or through crazy turns on closed roads, that type of thing. But people do tend to think that, you know, even just in daily driving, you feel more traction in an all-wheel drive car. So I don't know if it's placebo factor or not, but I'm gonna say that I do feel that. I feel like this car, the front wheel drive, has a bit more body roll and a little bit more just like likelihood that it might just like sort of slip out. I don't know. Again, maybe that's placebo factor. Maybe there's a whole bunch more to give. Like I said, I'm not just like throttling on these cars or anything, but it did feel like the all-wheel drive car held its grip better through, you know, highway on-ramps and off-ramps and stuff, where you like to goose it just a little bit, you know, and feel the power of the car. So in all of those areas, I think I would go with the all-wheel drive. No, I don't even think. I would go with the all-wheel drive. But the front-wheel drive car that they've given me this week is a stick shift. And if you like to drive, if you're like me, almost anyone that I know that likes to drive stick. It's a purer experience. It's funner. Like you notice when you get into this car, there's no sport button because you get to do it all yourself with a clutch and a stick shift. It's a 6-speed, and I'll be honest, I really, really like driving it. So here is the clincher. You cannot get the all-wheel drive car with a stick. Saying everything that I've said about how much I like to drive, I really want the stick shift. After spending a week in each and really, really asking myself which one I would choose, I'm kind of at a loss, you know, because like I talked about, we do go up to the mountains and get out there quite a bit. And like I said, the all-wheel drive, it's like, it's good, it's confidence inspiring, you know? But all the other days that I'm driving to work and just sort of driving around town, honestly, the drive is just that much more enjoyable for me personally because I'm driving a stick. And of course, the front wheel drive model is a bit cheaper to buy and a bit cheaper to run. So it's a bit of a tough one. I think if I had to choose right now, going forward, I would probably choose the all-wheel drive car and give up the stick shift. And it like pains me to say that because we know stick shifts are going away. They're harder and harder to get. I love you, Mazda, for keeping one here. I just really wish that you guys would give us the best of both worlds. All-wheel drive and stick. And heck, while you're at it, why not chuck another 100 horsepower in there? Turbocharge this thing. Bring back the Mazda Speed 3. Be a sales monster. I would buy it. So all in all, I think we can draw a couple of really strong conclusions here from the last 2 weeks of testing. Number one, the Mazda 3 is a great looking car. The 2019 redesign has just improved the lines and the look of it is great. Number two, the interior in Mazda vehicles is just fantastic. One of the nicest interiors in this league of car that you're gonna find. And number three, well, I guess depending on your lifestyle, do you need all-wheel drive? Well, I'm going to say that the answer is probably no. I mean, it's summertime here in Vancouver right now, so it's not like we're driving in snow or on ice or anything like that. So this car was fantastic. I loved having it for the week. The stick was super fun to drive, worked well for my small family, just one child, and you know, affordable and good looking and just great to be in. But that said, if I did have that little bit of extra wiggle room in my budget, would I opt for the all-wheel drive? I like knowing that all four wheels are helping you get there and just alleviate some of that stress. Plus, you know, if you really like to drive, I think that most performance driving enthusiasts would say that all-wheel drive is a bit funner, it's nicer to handle, grips the road a little bit better. So if those things are important to you, I think you wouldn't regret getting all-wheel drive, but yes, it is going to cost you a bit more money up front and a bit more in maintenance, and of course a little bit more at the pump. For me, if I had that room, I would go with the all-wheel drive model, but of course in the 3 you can't get the all-wheel drive with a stick, so it's a bit of a toss-up. Any way you slice it though, I think the 3 is going to be a great car for a small but growing family. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, give us a like or a subscribe, or even leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. For Family Wheels, I'm Scott.